Hi, I'm Daz. Something a bit newer for me to look at. It's a Panasonic RX SF-440. It's a radio cassette from the 90s, so things had moved on a bit by then. Seemed to be all black stuff then again. Right, first notes. Don't put it in play if you suspect the belt is loose, because you can end up with the logic control stuck in. Now, I thought this was okay, and then got the logic control stuck, so there was a few curses, and luckily I managed to get it to release the mechanism, because obviously if the mechanism's stuck in the cassette you can't open the door or disassemble it. So that's that bit. Note this little bit here that shows up. I was able to insert a screwdriver and actually help the logic control release. So I've always had this rule about not playing anything that I suspect the belt's loose in that has logic control, but for some reason I completely ignore my own advice. The note on the screws, there is 2 screws behind the telescopic aerial, so don't miss those. I did and thought, well, why isn't this coming apart? Now I've released the logic, but that's just me. Alright, here we go. So I want to do a bit of dusting. Oh, it does have tweeters. Little piezo tweeters. They've never been much good, have they? It's very dusty, this. Well, that's an interesting tuning gauge. It's done by a toothed gear. Here's the control mechanism. That's the cassette mechanism, should I say? Oh, that is unpluggable. Plastic flywheel. Main section, I see. Must be the audio output IC. It actually does look like it's built that you can disassemble it, so that's good. I've got a lot of dust to remove here. Now I want to fit this with Bluetooth, and there does look like there's plenty of room. I'm just wondering if it's possible to click into the switch here, so when it's in CD I get power. There's already 2 line-ins, so yeah, I think I stand a good chance. Notice it has a magnet erase head, but I've got a feeling that it does have AC bias on the head, but I'm not sure. Now, will the mechanism just cut? No, it's gonna take the so I've removed those 4 screws, and I'm hoping I can just pop this out without disengaging all this. Oh, too late. Luckily I'd parked the tuning scale at one end anyway, so I'm not going to get over worried about that. Right, there we go. So, they've very conveniently provided us with a connector for the head, and should have made a note where that cable went, but still a photograph. Never mind, we've got it on video. There we go. There we go, and there's the mechanism. Oh, it's a flat belt. Oh, yeah. That's yeah. Oh, yeah, that's starting to turn to mush. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a square belt. Quite a small motor, I must say. I'm just hoping I've got a belt that fits that. So there's very conveniently a screw here to hinge the motor up. Oh, there we go. Right. No, not as convenient as it looked. See. caught over there, but what you're supposed to do, oh, I see, that way, so it hinges that way. Right, I see, that's the motor off. I've got a new belt kit. Let's just see how wide this is, this belt. About 3mm. It's just about taut. A bit more, 76, 77 on that one. How wide is this one? Probably a mil. And about 67. Okay. Right. Get the spool belt off. And I've twisted it. Nope. Now it's come right. There we go. Right, if I hook the belt on first. Oh, come on. There we go. There we go. That's got hooked round there. Let's come round there. I'll try that. Yep, that seems okay. Right. Remember to put the screw back in. It wasn't too bad, but just got to watch you don't catch the little metal tag sticking out near the pulley. And I did get it hooked, but see if we can get a focus range. Here we go. It seems to be okay now. Just missed that little hook that's about there. I used a kit for a 430 and it's fitted, so it's probably the same deck that's used in the 440, I guess. There's quite a bit of dust. I noticed it's a permanent magnet erase head, but I did notice that one of the controls suggested that there was a beat frequency adjustment, so maybe it's AC bias on the head in this recorder. So you can see it's a logic deck, because there you go, I need to just turn the flywheel to complete the pinch wheel and the head going down. But there you go. Does it go? Does it go? I'm going to grab the speakers out because they're exceedingly dusty and I couldn't really blow them out. I notice there's a little piezo electric tweeter there, just connected across the speaker. I don't know how effective they are. I don't remember them being very effective in the 80s, so whether they're any better in the 90s is another good question. Careful. Oh yeah, that's dusty. It looks like it's been a bit damp as well, so I'll just get my brush in there. I decided against trying to remove this metal grill, so I'm just trying to get round all the awkward corners with a cloth and a bit of foam cleaner just to make it look a bit more tidier inside. It's the problem with this design, it doesn't, it just allows so much dust to come in through the front grille, and it's very visible. Interestingly, quite low impedance speakers, 2.7 ohms, so that enables you to get a fair output, I would think, with a 9-volt supply. Probably a couple of 3 watts, so well, they're rated at 2.5. So now I want to get this PCB out to see if I can find power for the Bluetooth module. So how this unclips is, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's soldered. I think it's releasable, but I think you push on these tabs, lift it up, and yes, I sort of pulled on these, and now there we go. Try not to bend then. That's the radio tuner disconnected. Right, so I imagine all the buttons are going to have to come off now. Yeah, they're just clipped in. I'll just push gently. Oh, yeah. It looks like the graphic module unplugs, but this base button will probably have to come off. Yeah. Come on, gently. You got old plastic like this, I just... Oh, there we go. One graphic equalizer module. Some latches here. I'm wondering how this is going to come out with the headphone jack, etc. And these phonos. Good question. Plug the 9 volts. Wanting to come out, is it? Oh, I just pulled the jack out. Are you going to come? Come on. Oh yes, the LED to come out here as well. Oh, I don't want to keep bending the PCB. Oh, there we go. Right, lifting it right at a high angle now. Ooh. Yes, there we go. Right, now that needs a good clean. What I'm hoping to look at is this switch at the back and see how many poles I've got. And what would be an ideal situation is if I could find a positive position when it's in the CD, positive supply, so you can turn the Bluetooth module on. Right, so I'm just connecting to the 9-volt connector, and I'm just going to see where I've got power, just to give me a clue. I've got no idea how this switch is arranged. It's got 3 positions, but it's got 10 contacts on each side. So, well, there we go, there's power there. So on those 2 contacts, just have to see what we can find. So after a bit of probing round, I've discovered there's a 6-volt regulator, and that runs the radio circuit. But I've also found there's a spare switch position where 6 volts appears when you're in the CD line position. So given that you've got a decent regulator, I think a Bluetooth unit could be run off that 6 volts. And you probably, it's a 5-volt unit, a diode drop would probably be enough to ensure you're not overvolting it. So I'm on the 4th pin along at the top, so remembering this works backwards, that's tape, radio line. There we go, and there's 5.9 volts. Very convenient. And that's what feeds it in radio, as you can see. And that goes off. So by using this 4th pin along here, which I'll zoom into, there we go. Perhaps you can see a bit better now. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So that's the one that I'm going to use. That's very, very convenient, find that. Right, so there's my positive pickup point, just there. And the negative I've taken here, because this looks like it's a sort of central earth location, so looking at how the tracks are sort of all the grounds are meeting there, so that's what I've chosen. So next thing is, where do I put the module? The audio is going to be quite easy because that's just going to connect to the socket. I've just attached a bit of screen cable to the phono inputs, the ground there, and right and left. I'm going to try and take it out there and hope it fits. Just attached it to the left and right output of the Bluetooth module. I've got a 47 microfarad, 100 nanofarad and a diode, but I think I might put a resistor in as well, I'm just a bit concerned about that voltage regulator and switching this in, and possibly might be too much of a surge. It depends on the base resistor of the voltage regulator. Well, it works, but with a very lovely amount of background noise, so either it's an earth loop or this module's pretty rubbish. But I'm sure you can hear that. That's quite irritating. That's floating the ground, power supply ground, and just relying on the audio ground. That's even worse. Okay, that's with the audio earth disconnected. Let's see what we get with that.
Enter to Bluetooth. Bluetooth connected.
Not great, is it really? So yeah, I suspect it's a supply earth loop. I've got a separate power supply on just the Bluetooth module.
Enter to Bluetooth.
Absolutely.
Bluetooth connected.
Absolutely completely quiet, so earth problem. So either try a different module, or really a DC to DC converter, would you really want to be doing that? Yeah. So after a little bit of fiddling, I've decided on a 470 microfarad decoupling capacitor now. 39 ohm, I did away with the diode. That gives us about 5.3 volts, which is within the spec of this chip, which is up to 6 volts. You can still hear this high frequency whine, but let's be completely honest, I've got the volume control on full blast, and believe me, if I played it at that level, it would completely distort. So having it on a more realistic level, and then we'll play some music through it. Let's just make sure we get the right thing. With the Bluetooth gain up on full, I can just about hear it if I put my ears to it, so that is a lot better. But I believe, you know, a lot of the low level mumbling disappeared with the decoupling, so I think this high frequency whine is maybe a peculiarity of this particular Bluetooth module. Right, I've fixed my Bluetooth board with some strong double-sided sticky tape, but I've also attached the wires for some adhesive, and I've also made sure if this was to fall down, I've just considered whether it can contact the mains of the transformer. The answer is no, because there's a nice plastic covering on the primary here, and there's additional plastic here, so it means it can't fall down to where the mains is underneath here, so I'm happy with that. And also check that it's not too close to the mains transformer in case the you get a hum field from the transformer, so that's okay. So I'm going to start putting this back together now. Just giving the mechanism a little bit of a clean. Head was a little bit dirty, but yeah, auto stop works. There's plenty of drive now. We've got a new belt, so that's good. Nice squealing noise there. Notice it continues when you press stop, so I'm assuming that it's either the motor bearing or it's flywheel bearing making that noise. I haven't got the tape in, so no, it's still doing it, so it's not anything to do with the pinch wheel. So yeah. It's not just the squeal that's the problem, there's a lot of whir and flutter. And at the beginning of the tape, you can hear the audio seems to be drifting, so you hear the left and right sort of drift in and out. And the reason is it's the pinch wheel. I'm hardly putting any pressure on, and as you can see, it's stopped. Yeah, so what's happening is because this pinch wheel isn't gripping properly, the take-up spool tends to pull at the tape and make it go up and down on the capstan, and of course then it's moving back and forth on the head, so your stereo separation goes a bit funny. I guess on a mono recorder you'd notice a lack of treble, but yeah, it tends to do it at the beginning of the tape, and I guess that's probably where the torque to the take-up reel is most highest. Yeah, the squealing is definitely coming from the motor. Right, I think first things first is get it off this bracket. But just make a note of which way round it goes, I guess. That's quite easy. With a Sharpie, I guess. There we go. Well, there's the date. 6th of August 95, I assume. I see there is a solder lug here, but this looks pressed on. I wouldn't want to apply any force there in case it broke the circuit board. I'm just hoping that just applying a little bit of pressure there might allow me to pop the lid off, but of course it's possible that just applying some lubricant on this bearing, which is the one that's got most of the force on from the belt, might silence it. But right, so after just running the screwdriver around there just to separate it, you can see I'm just about able to pull it up now. I've used the most gentlest force against that PCB because I don't want to crack it, but see all the little indentations where I used the screwdriver blade to push on the outer part there, so it's separated slightly from it. Well, after that I discover that how do you get at the bearing? So do I go to the next step and take the circuit board off now? 3 terminals on the motor? Obviously this is the speed controller. I would have thought it would have been those two. Well, the answer is it's that one and that one. So there's the motor. I can see the brushes. Well, I can't see where you lubricate the bearing. Oh. Oop, there we go. Now, I guess I'm going to have to stick something in to get it over that little hump. Yeah, so perhaps that's why there's holes where the brushes are. You push something in to push them out of the way, I guess. Yeah. Anyway. Wow. Nice big magnet. Right. Let's pop some oil in this bearing. It looks like one of those sinited ones. So I'll pop that in and just let it set for a while. What's caught my attention is this metal around the motor. Now, I've seen this before and I'm thinking, well, it's nothing to do with mounting, and it just occurred to me, is it a magnetic shield round the motor to try and prevent the magnetic field from leaving the motor? It moves, and I'm sort of, what come to mind is that, is it mu metal they're using in an oscilloscope to prevent interference from magnetic fields? Maybe. So I'm not going to try and pull, I don't think I'm going to try and pull this pulley off. I'm going to try and get the oil behind there, and then I just better make sure I get all the oil off this drive shaft. I just don't fancy pulling this off. It's a 30-year-old bit of plastic, isn't it? There we go. I think that should do the job to allow me to slip the backpack on. There we go. Just running it on about 1.5 volts. I'll just turn it up a little bit. I should think 6 should be okay, because I guess this is 9 volts. It probably regulates to 4 or 5 volts actually. It depends how much headroom they've given you battery wise, doesn't it? Because the set runs on 9 volts. I bet this is regulated 5 or 6 volts. This motor is quite efficient. I'm running at 6.7 volts and it's only drawn 30 milliamp. Yes, I know it's got no load on it, but even so, that's pretty good. I suppose modern magnet technology, etc. Right, the control PCB soldered back on. I will need to solder this cover back onto that little section there, because there's no doubt forms part of the screening, and I don't know how I'm quite going to bend them back. I'll think of something. Right, so what I did was I squeezed the back in the vise very gently, and plus the soldering seems to have got the motor back together. So I was very fortunate. I managed to find a replacement pinch wheel, so it looks pretty easy to change. There's a little thing there, little plastic thing, little peg. I just bend that out. There we go. I assume that's it. Job done. Oh my, ow! You can really see that gripping now. Oh, that's perfect. Excellent. There we go. That's really gripping nicely now, so that should give us good playback now and less of the head riding we were getting. So, slight squeak. Yes, so that spring has got to line up with that metal bit there. I notice there's a bit of lateral movement, but hey ho, it's possibly not a perfect replacement, but I suspect if you couldn't get a replacement part, you could probably push that rod out and just put another pinch wheel in, but I was feeling a bit lazy and there was one available, so it does push out surprisingly easy. So if this one ends up being a duffer, I shall put another pinch wheel in this one. Now this is a pinch wheel, this is the old pinch wheel housing, and I've put a new pinch wheel on, and that looks a little bit better, I'd say. Not so much wobble. Well, that sounds quite nice and steady. Shame really, because it's a original part as far as I can see, so but my rebuild seems to work a lot better, so I think I'll stick with that. Great shame really. There you go. It is possible to fit Bluetooth without completely wrecking something. I've seen a number of, you know, other YouTube videos where they rip the guts out and just completely make it non-functional cassette and radio wise, but this will do cassette still, and it will still play analog radio. Still picks up Radio Caroline quite nicely, so that's a good thing.
So it's 6 metres.
Well, it's not a lot on the AM band now, is there? Or the medium wave band. Getting more scarcer by the minute.